This is Hiring on All Cylinders. Live from HR Tech. Hello again, HR friends. Rob Stevenson here with Intello and HR at HR Tech with Hiring on All Cylinders. Got to get that right. And I am positively thrilled to bring you another classic installment. And I am joined by one Jason Averbook, who is a highly sought after HR thought leader. Jason, thanks so much for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me. And it's Averbook, by the way.
Averbook.
But close.
Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate that.
Hey, all good.
So you had not one but two sessions here. So the first one was discovering the next great HR technology company. How did it go?
I thought it went well. You know, I was kind of the game show host of that session. So for me, it was really the way we designed it was there were 8 new vendors that were selected by analysts to present. They had 5 minutes each to present, which is a heck of a task in itself.
Right, it's nothing.
And so they presented their solution, and then the audience voted on it. And LifeWorks, the company LifeWorks, was named the next new great HR tech company. So it's a good session.
What's LifeWorks solution look like?
LifeWorks solution really ties into focusing on recognition, benefits, perks, all from a mobile device. So very mobile, very social from a collaboration and feedback standpoint, and then lots of connections to employee perks, employee recognition, things like that. You know, I think overall when you look at this session, you know, you're trying to look at, and I said there are 3 I's. 3 I's that the people that were in the session should think about.
Okay.
Imagination. So vendors are trying to imagine new solutions and new ways to solve common business pains and problems. Industry, really thinking about how do we move the industry forward. You know, and then the third is innovation. And how do we leverage where the world from technology is today to really start thinking about how do I innovate, imagine, and then move the industry forward together. So each of these analysts picked 2 companies, and there were 8 companies there. Little something for everyone, I think. From the vendors that were there, and I think all of them deserve a ton of credit to get up in front of, 500, 600, 700 people, present their solution for 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. So in your opinion, which of the tools best exemplified those 3 I's?
You know, I can't really say there's one that did more than the other. I mean, what I always say that everyone's looking for something. So every HR function in the world needs to be thinking about what do they want to be great at and what is it okay to be okay at.
Uh-huh.
So I think that all of those vendors in the little tiny areas that they cover, whether it be recognition or investigations or onboarding or whatever they are, the reason they were selected is because they do all 3 of those. I don't think there's one that necessarily that represents that more than any of the others. And in fact, to be honest with you, I can go on record saying this. The voting is very non-scientific. So even to say that there's a winner, they can claim that they're a winner and things, but the fact that analysts who have been in this space for a long time selected these 8 vendors,
yes,
all of those 8 vendors are winners.
Right, they've been earmarked by these analysts, the people who know what they're talking about, so that's winning in its own right.
Exactly, That's already a win. As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So the next session was earlier today, building the HR function of the future, transforming HR through technology. So what does it mean to create an HR function that's built for the future?
Yeah, so really the purpose of that session and the overall flow of that session was all designed around this concept of how do I leverage the digital transformation that's going on in the rest of the world. So if we look at every single industry is being disrupted by digital.
Right.
Yet in the HR space, what we've been doing for a long time is we've been using technology to automate, not really imagine. So, I think of digital, there's 2 different ways you can go with digital. You can basically I'm going to take all my old stuff and automate it.
Right.
Or I can take all my old stuff, reimagine it, and put it in a digital footprint. And this whole session was helping organizations realize that they shouldn't just lift and shift. They shouldn't just go from one solution to the other. They should think about how do I, at the same time as I'm looking at a piece of technology, really rethink my processes, rethink how I'm going to get people interested in using them. How do I not measure adoption but measure addiction? How do I realize that people have better technology in the palm of their hand than what the company gives them
Yes.
to use today. All of those things together line us up for where we are from a digital disruption, digital transformation space.
So you would prescribe that people not just, when they think of digitization, they don't just think of it in terms of, all right, we have this stack of resumes in the basement, let's scan them into our ATS, but also like take that opportunity to completely reimagine that function.
It's not automation. I mean, automation, we did that. Like we lived through that generation of automation already, and all we got was the same HR function with a lot of money spent on technology. Well, if you look at what Uber is doing, or you look at what any of these examples of digital transformed companies are doing, they're not just taking something. I mean, they're taking the old, but they're reimagining it in a way that's leveraging technology to drive it forward. And that's what we're saying for each one of these HR app or functions, talent acquisition, learning. All of these areas have amazing opportunity to really become not HR applications, but workforce applications, if HR thinks of them that way. Another thing that we talked about in the session was, don't think of things as HR technology. I always tell people this is the stupidest name for this conference, HR technology.
Hot take.
No, I just don't. I mean, I think we're not buying technology for the HR department only.
It's for the whole company,
It's
right?
for the whole company. I mean, these are business solutions, just like email is, just like any internal collaboration tools are. So HR technology denotes technology for the HR function only.
Right.
And when you start pushing that out to the workers or applicants or whomever and think they're going to interact with it, it's this long sled ride ahead.
Yes.
So for me, it's how do we change it to workforce technology, not HR technology? And I think that's where the whole market's going.
I love it. I keep hearing this with all the people I've interviewed. They're saying we need to have cross-departmental communication in terms of all these like data reporting and analysis and tools that serve that and cater to that.
Well, I mean, Rob, HR is like the oldest profession in the world, next to the one in Las Vegas.
Right.
And we've been doing things in HR in silos forever. So there's the talent acquisition silo. Then there's now I'm going to onboard these people, and that includes the holy trinity of the talent acquisition side, the core HR side, and then what do I do with them once they're there? Then there's the compensation side, the benefit side, the learning side, the succession side. And employees could care less. Employees and the workforce doesn't want to go through modules. They want to go through an end-to-end process. So in the session, we actually talked about, if you actually go buy something on Amazon, you're using 180 modules every time you buy something. But you don't know that. You have one user
a couple of
experience.
buttons, and then
you're done.
It comes to you, yeah.
Right. So when we in HR exacerbate our silos, sounds weird, exacerbate our silos, but we exacerbate our silos by saying, here's a talent acquisition solution, here's a learning solution from someone else, you have to sign into each one separately, here's a portal solution. I mean, all we're doing is making the silos more pronounced.
So you mind if I quote you really quick?
No, as long as it's something I truly said.
Yeah, well, you wrote it. Quote, "It is time to treat our workforce and give them tools that are equal or better to that of our customer." And that, when you mentioned that, how do you deal with the fact that your customer has in the palm of their hand, this technology is probably beyond what you can cater to them? So then, do those tools exist? Is there a great need for innovation? Is there a huge gap there? What can these companies here do to cater to those needs?
So I always say that when we think about user experience or workforce experience or whatever the du jour thing is to call it, worker journey map, blah, 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 what we're trying to do is we're not talking about just the technology. What we're trying to say is we as consumers, this ties into consumerization and personalization, we as consumers are used to being serviced a certain way that's very personalized. So now when I call whomever, they know my phone number.
Right.
They don't ask me for all that information like they used to. That's an example of an advancement that's happened. Now, not everyone's done it, but a lot do. When I call Delta today to say they're like, "Hey, Mr. Averbook, how are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, cool, they know me."
Right.
Yeah. When I oftentimes can't get a hold of anyone in HR. So I mean, and that's true for most businesses. If I treat my customers better than I treat my employees, and my employees my people are my most important asset, and I'm asking my people to then treat my customers this way, it's ass backwards.
Right. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, it's ass backwards. So for me, you should at least treat your employees equal. to the way you treat your customers. Customers can find things on your website, yet employees can't find things on your intranet. Like, that's not right. Like, there's so much room, and it's not innovation from the tech side is important here, but a lot of it is just, let's focus on the things that really are going to drive the employees and the workers to be quote unquote engaged, overused term of the decade, but important. Let's focus on that. Let's not buy new technology that's more stuff for us in HR to use to try to get to the deep down analytics of who's the right person to hire.
I love it. This has been Silo Exacerbation with Jason Averbook here at Workforce Technology, the 19th Annual Conference and Expo. Jason, you're a true mensch. Thanks for stopping by and joining me.
My name of my next book, Silo Exacerbation.
I love it.